Hello and welcome to Unit 1 in our New Mexico History Intercession course. Each unit will have an introduction video just like this one, where the point of what I'm doing is to try to help you have some context for what we'll be reading, what we'll be studying, viewing, to kind of pull everything together as you work to complete the assignments. I did want to point out that the videos in the other units are old. I didn't re-record all of them specifically for this intercession. I believe that they're all current. However, if you find something that just doesn't quite make sense, or I mentioned an assignment that isn't actually mentioned in the syllabus or a learning module, again, I don't think I did this, but if that's the case, please let me know so that I can address it, fix it, and we can make it better for everyone going forward. This module, as is pointed out in the written portion of the intro and objectives, is quite intensive. Of course, this is a very intensive short class, but the module itself requires a lot. So please, I hope you're getting started as soon as possible. The point of this module is to introduce you and orient you to the course, everything that we'll be doing that is specific to this course and isn't really like a lot of other CNM courses. You'll get an introduction here to Twitter. You'll get to try it out, post a couple of tweets that you'll get some points for, more points than you'll usually get for reading tweets. But again, the point is to just get you to try it, make sure you're there, make sure that you have connected with me on Twitter so that I can see all of your work there and give you credit for it. Something I wanted to point out here that I've also pointed out elsewhere in the Twitter tutorials is that when you first start using Twitter, for whatever reason, your tweets won't always appear in the hashtag search. So even if you did everything right and you wrote pound hist2260 with no spaces as part of your tweet, they might not appear immediately in the hashtag search. If you tweet to me, so you also add @CNMBrandon, or you follow me, and again, you don't have to follow me if you don't want to. You could just tweet to me. But if you do either of those things, I'll be able to see your tweets for sure. And once you start interacting with other people, Twitter comes to realize that you're not a spammer and you're an actual human being, and it will allow all of your tweets to appear in the course hashtag search. So my point is, don't panic. If that's the case, just keep working. Things will work themselves out. If within a few days, though, I haven't given you any points for your work on Twitter, send me an email and let me know what your Twitter handle is or your username so that I can be sure to always give you credit for your work. You'll also have an introduction to Tiki-Taki here. That's our course timeline. You don't have to actually do anything for points regarding Tiki-Taki. What I would like you to do, though, is just use the link, look at the tutorial that's provided that I've made so that you can be familiar with Tiki-Taki and hit the ground running for Unit 2 when you are required to do some work on the course timeline. Also, I wanted to mention a few things about the effective discussion questions part of this module. I think everything else is very straightforward. I did my very best to explain the discussion questions part, but it seems to be the thing that most people have a little bit of a hard time understanding. The point is to read the materials that are presented in that section of the module and think about what makes an effective discussion question. You want to ask an open-ended question, not something that can be answered with a quick yes or no or a quick fact, but you want something that requires people to think deeply, to have to explain their answer, to have to draw on evidence from the sources. So the first part of that section of the module is geared toward getting you to think about what makes an effective discussion question so that you can be able to do that well in our course discussions. The second section of that module presents you with a couple of sources on critical thinking. And of course, critical thinking and asking effective discussion questions go hand in hand. They're very closely related. So you need to read through and watch the video on critical thinking. And then the part that you actually do some work for, you go to the discussion board and you post a discussion question about the critical thinking sources. So that's really it. That's what you're doing. You do all that legwork so that you can post an effective discussion question on the critical thinking sources. And then once you've done that, you'll go back to the discussion board, to that forum, and you will reply to one of your peers' questions. And you'll need to make sure that you draw on evidence from those critical thinking sources. That's something we're working on here in this course as well. In all of our discussions, you want to make sure that you always use evidence from whatever sources we're drawing on for that unit. You need to cite that evidence as well. You can always just do that by putting the author's name or the title in parentheses. You don't always have to do a page number because in the mile, in videos, there aren't page numbers. But as long as you just give us a general sense of where did this come from, especially if it's a quote, that's what I'm asking for. If you don't cite sources in your responses, you will not get full credit for those responses. Of course, if you have evidence there, it's clear you had evidence, you just didn't cite it, you'll get more points than if you didn't cite any evidence at all. But again, we're working on the best practices for supporting all of our ideas with evidence and really talking about the historical evidence itself as we work through this course. So I hope that that's a little helpful as you work through Unit 1. If you have any questions about that unit, please let me know. I'm available via text message, email, and Twitter. So again, I hope you enjoy Unit 1.